So shooters and reloaders out there, Fortune Cookie 45 LC coming to you from the hot lead zone. And thanks to Dave Thorzax 777 who provided me with these new level shotgun slugs that are home cast. That's the important thing. They're home cast from Russian molds and assembled at home. So we now have a new level of accuracy that is available to us. And that's why I'm doing this video, because reloading slugs and buckshot in our shot shells makes a lot of sense. Because of the high cost of factory slugs, if we can do home reload slugs that will perform like factory, we are good as gold. Now, reloading the old-fashioned shot shells, that doesn't make a lot of sense today because you can buy those so cheap that there's little reason to reload shot shells on our own today, although we can if you want to do that. A very good YouTube morning to everybody out there. At any rate, many of you out there have not considered reloading shot shells. Now, if there's ever any possibility you might get interested in reloading your slug or buckshot loads, you might go ahead and start collecting some empty hulls from the range, because these are easy to get. And the thing about these hulls is that the range masters have no problems with you picking these up. In fact, if you pick these up, they'll applaud you. So what you see here are a lot of Fiocchis and Winchester Super X's, Remington Sluggers, and what you don't see are the Federal slug hulls, because I separate those into a separate bin of their own. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and tell you how to reload these, because you can do it with a lead loader or with a lead load-all. Those are inexpensive ways to reload shot shells. In fact, if you look into reloading shot shells, you can actually figure out ways to reload these without even any press or tools at all. These shells will still chamber the first time without any problem, so you don't even need to resize the heads. You can deprime with a punch. You can reprime just on a flat surface, pressing it down, or put a dowel in there that's got the center drilled out and tap it a little bit to get the case reprimed. Powder charging can be done with any kind of a scoop. And we can finger seat our wads, which are nice because they're all one piece, no more of those separate felt and overshot and all those kind of over powder wads. You don't need to deal with those anymore because you have one piece plastic shot cups that you can already use. So those can be seated by hand. Slug and buckshot can be put in by hand, no problem. And then a simple spacer card can be put over the top and then sealed in with hot glue. You don't even need to go ahead and crimp them. Or if you have a roll crimper that's easily purchased from Midway USA, you can go ahead and roll crimp them with a electric drill. Simple to reload, really. But here are some considerations that we don't see on YouTube or on any other video. That is, notice how clean these are. You don't have to do any cleaning. When these get a little bit dirty or frayed, just go ahead and discard them and get some new ones. They're all over the place. Primer pockets don't need to be cleaned because the primers are self-contained. The flash hole is part of the primer that goes right down at the bottom there. So there's no need to clean primer pockets. There's no need to size the necks. There are no concentricity issues. When you reload these, there's no overall length considerations. The shells can be a little shorter, they can be a little longer. Doesn't really matter. They all function perfectly, even through slide action and semi-automatic shotguns. Now, before we draw a lot of unnecessary comments, of course we do have to match 2 3/4 inch hulls with 2 3/4 inch chambers, 3-inch hulls with 3-inch chambers, 3.5 inch shells with 3.5 inch chambers. Of course, But once you have the shell matched, the length doesn't really matter whether we wind up shortening them or not. We don't want them too long though. For instance, you don't want to use a 3.5 inch shell in a 2 3/4 inch chamber. You can have high pressures. Since we're not shooting groups with shotguns, the powder charge can simply be thrown from any good powder measure or any good powder dipper. Now, MOA is not a concern for shot shell reloading or shot shell shooting. What we do instead is we're talking about pattern density, and we used to pattern our shotgun barrels, but with the coming of removable and interchangeable choke tubes, that changed the whole concept of patterning. The only time we really pattern today is to establish point of impact, so we know where the center of the pattern is for whatever purpose that we're doing, whether it's field shooting or trap or skeet or sporting clays. That's when we want to know where the point of impact is. Yes, there was a time that we actually took a big piece of paper and shot a shot shell into it and then counted every little hole and calculated the pattern density and all of that kind of thing. Choke tubes changed all that, so now we just look at the pattern, and if it looks like it's all spread out evenly, that's all we need to know. Now, one thing that we don't talk about is that this plastic can be a problem for the environment. And when you see the sheer volume of empty shot shells that the ranges deal with, that's a lot of plastic going into the environment. When we reload these, we're actually helping to recycle the plastic. So we reduce the amount of plastic going into the environment. There'll come a time when these are going to be a problem, and we're going to have to deal with regulations involving these. So all of you slug and buckshot shooters out there, this video is a call to reload your own. Bye for now.